The car of Falkenstein, Collier's, but at that time called Faulkner's coach, relates to some earlier nonsense. Her unusually quick sense of the ridiculous inclined her to play with the trifling commonplaces of everyday life, whether as regarded people or things, but she never played with its serious duties or responsibilities. When grave, she was very grave. I am not sure but that Aunt Cassandra's disposition was the most equally cheerful of the two. Their affection for each other was extreme. It passed the common law of sisters, and it had been so from childhood. My grandmother, talking to me once of past times, and of that particular time when my aunts were placed at the Reading Abbey School, said that Jane was too young to make her going to school at all necessary, but that it was her own doing. She would go with Cassandra. If Cassandra's head had been going to be cut off, Jane would have had hers cut off too. They must, however, have been separated sometimes, as Cassandra in her childhood was a good deal with Dr. and Mrs. Cooper at Bath. She once described to me her return to Steventon one fine summer evening. The Coopers had sent or conveyed her a good part of the journey, but my grandfather had to go, I think, as far as Andover to meet her. He might have conveyed himself by coach, but he thought he should bring his daughter home in a hack chaise. And almost home they were when they met Jane and Charles, the two little ones of the family, who had got as far as New Down to meet the chaise and have the pleasure of riding home in it. But who first spied the chaise, tradition does not say. Whether such happiness were the lawful property of Jane or Charles will never be exactly understood. I have come to the end of my traditional law, as well as of my personal recollections, and I am sorry that both should be so meagre and unsatisfactory, but if this attempt should incline others to do the same, even if no more, the contributions when put together may furnish a memorial of some value. You must have it in your own power to write something, and Caroline, though her recollections cannot go so far back even as yours, is, I know, acquainted with some particulars of interest in the life of our aunt. They relate to circumstances of which I never had any knowledge, but were communicated to her by the best of the then living authorities, Aunt Cassandra. There may be other sources of information if we could get at them. Letters may have been preserved, and this is the more probable as Aunt Jane's talent for letter writing was so much valued and thought so delightful amongst her own family circle. Such gleanings, however, are not likely to fall to our share, and we must content ourselves, I fear, with our own reminiscences. Believe me, dearest Edward, your affectionate sister, J.A.E. Lefroy.